Hey, this is Angela D. Stribling of A New After Sunday, and you can catch me every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WDRB Media out of Charlotte, North Carolina, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. And we stream live on TuneIn, WDRBmedia.com, Streamer, Apple Music, and iHeartRadio. And also, you can catch it on the Annual D Strictly channel at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. Today, I have again my co-host Mon Washington in the building. How you doing?
What's going on, good people? Nice to see
Hey,
everybody today.
it's a rainy Wednesday afternoon, evening. So, but
Sad for
the
you.
show must go on
I'm
where I
sad for
am.
you.
Absolutely. And today we have in the studio Mr. Miles Chandler, and I am
My
grateful and
boy!
happy
This is my
that we
guy
were
right here.
able
This is my guy right here, Miles. I'm so happy to finally catch up with you. We
to
got you
catch
on the
up with
show.
him because
Happy
he
to be
is
here.
the
Happy to be here.
amazing mind behind Letters to Michael, which is a play
Yes.
put on at Morehouse College. Hi, Miles. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, you see Dad over there. He's
That's right.
representing for his son.
That's right. That's right.
And he's
Oh, my
representing for
boy,
my son,
Miles.
too,
That's
right?
right.
And for you. So
Oh,
how's it
man.
going? Great. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And I'm sure you're very busy.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to get you on and tell about this amazing play, where it
Yes.
comes from, how it got started, how you got started, and what you do.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited to be here to talk about it. It was a long time coming. The play's been sort of in development since 2020. So
Oh,
it
wow. Okay.
didn't go up until 2023. So that was a long, lengthy process to kind of get it from sort of the workshopping phase, well, the idea phase through the workshopping phase, and then final drafting, and then of course the actual rehearsal process. So it
Okay.
definitely had a bit of a journey, but I'm super excited to answer any questions about it, and the process of kind of bringing it to life.
So, M gave us some background on what his character was.
Mhm.
So, how did these characters develop? Where did the storyline come from?
Well, there it's sort of a half and half, in the sense that I guess you could say that it derives somewhat from personal experience, but then also it pulls a lot from just sort of, I guess, from the ether of just concepts that I've kind of like learned about over the course of my time at Morehouse. Initially, the play started out, like I said, I was started in December of 2020. When I was a sophomore at Morehouse, so this is my first semester sophomore year. One of my he's an alumnus now, but one of my peers had approached me about writing a piece for an annual production that we put on in the AUC called Art of the Dark. And it's a show about Black love and sexuality and things of that nature. And basically, he asked me that there was a story that he kind of wanted to tell about the kinds of gay storylines that were being represented in the show previously. He said they were
Mhm.
usually always kind of a, I guess, not as authentic of a concept. And so he was like, as a queer writer, like basically tasking me with like wanting to kind of represent from a more authentic lens. And so initially I wrote this piece about a character that had feelings for one of their friends, and it was kind of like it was written as a letter, was how I structured the monologue. And there was one
Uh-huh.
particular letter called
Mm.
A Letter to Michael. And so that was the one piece. Art of the Dark works where it's like it's a bunch of student writers coming together and they write, some scenes, some poems, acting pieces. Sometimes they write original songs. And there's dance that's choreographed, but it's kind of like a vignette style show. So I
Uh-huh.
made
Okay.
one piece for a vignette show, and then me and a couple of other students in the theater department were taken to a playwrights conference in Valdez, Alaska. It's kind of like in the middle of nowhere,
I
uh,
bet.
5 hours out of Anchorage. It's a beautiful, beautiful city, but there's a playwrights conference that happens there. It's been going on for about 30 years. And so we went to
Okay.
the 29th conference. And this was in June of 2021. So this was 2 months after Art of the Dark that year had just wrapped. And essentially how the play how the conference works is that it's meant for playwrights to get a chance to kind of hear their works on their feet before putting them into a full-fledged production. So it's a series of play readings. There's over 100 play readings that happen, and people give feedback so that you can, kind of workshop and critique your scripts and stuff like that before you have to actually worry about casting and doing it as a full-fledged play to kind of make sure that the text itself works by itself.
Right.
So I went to that conference as an actor, loved it, and was like, I want to write my own play. I want to come back. And so I had this idea. I was sitting at a restaurant with me and a couple of my friends, and I was kind of talking to them about wanting to do something more with a letter to Michael monologue and kind of like expound that into a full story. And so for 2021, the rest of the year I spent kind of like drafting the script, coming up with the series of letters to write between these two different characters. And then by 2022, a year later in the summer, this was June 2022, I came back to the conference for the 30th year of the conference, and I came back as a playwright to kind of get the work, hear what people thought about it. I got some really great feedback about it, made some alterations to it, and decided that it was going to be my senior theater thesis for my theater major. And so I brought it back to the AUC, and I did auditions. I cast M and another Morehouse student by the name of Daniel in the two roles, and that was kind of how it came to be.
Awesome. What
was
was
the young lady's name again that was in the play?
Bailey Johnson. She's a first year.
Yeah. Okay. What was her role?
She played Dr. Jam. That was the therapist. There's only 3 characters in the play. So there's Michael, which was M's character, Nathan, who Daniel played, and then Dr. Jam, who was played by Bailey.
Awesome. And how was it received by the audiences?
I think it was received really, really well, and honestly better than I anticipated. This is my first time putting up a completely original work. I've directed other productions and stuff that have devised sort of pieces that I've penned and things of that nature, but especially at the collegiate scale, this is my first like big solo traditional play, I guess directorial debut, and it was super well received. There were a lot of things that I thought from the workshopping process that were, I guess, I kind of curtailed by going through the workshopping process. A lot of the feedback that I got there helped me to kind of anticipate how audiences would react
when
it was done in a full production. But a lot of the crowd really resonated with it. It happened to fall on Parents Weekend for Spelman College, so there were a lot of so super exciting. Usually our shows, we get to be seen by like a particular demographic. It's usually a college student populace, and the only adults that we're able to usually get in are like the parents of people that are in the show, and then like our professors. And so getting to kind of like get a wider net of
exactly
aren't necessarily of theater majors was super cool. So
awesome. And so do you see yourself going more in depth into plays, or what's your major, what's your background?
So I'm a theater and CTEMS double major. It's the Cinema, Television, and Emerging Media Studies program.
Nice.
Right. The goal is to kind of like pivot after this into writing full time. I eventually want to be a showrunner. I kind of want to work my way into television. So I've done a couple of internships over my time at Morehouse. I interned with DreamWorks Animation last summer, which was a super cool experience to kind of get me in the realm of development and working in television and things of that nature. And so post graduation, that's kind of the goal, is to take that writing bug, if you will, and use that from a TV lens.
Wow, I am so impressed. I am so impressed with the young men that I know in my life and in my circle. It's just a breath of fresh air. You know, with everything you might hear in the news, and there are some good young men out here doing some amazing work, and I can't even be more proud. Martin, you got any questions to ask?
Well, I got questions and comments, and I'm not going to say I'm not biased, but I am.
It's okay.
See, I saw the play, and my first impression, and I told you I was going to restrain all my comments and or questions till I got a chance to talk to you.
Yeah.
I was totally, and I've been at this a long time as an actor myself, director. I have seen and read a lot of scripts, but this one in particular was so meaty and so deep for somebody that ain't made nowhere near 25. That's what was impressive to me.
Yeah.
The subject matter was, I mean, it was so rich and so deep. Do you plan on continuing to
That's what I want to
produce
know.
this piece? And if well, let me start with there. Do you plan on continuing to produce this piece?
Definitely. I think for me, the goal is to get it published because I want to see what other directors do with it. I want to get it sent to regional theaters and see other people's artistic takes on it and let the work kind of like grow on its own. I guess independent of me. I don't think I'm going to be at least not anytime soon. I think because I just directed it so recently, I wouldn't be staging any productions of it under my direction.
Correct.
In the super recent future. Or not recent future, but the incoming future. But I definitely want the goal to be to get it published because I do want to see more productions of it happening, even if I'm not the one directing it.
Right.
So have you submitted it, this particular script, into any festivals and or award programs like Zora Neale Hurston writing?
The goal is that when the applications open up, that I'm going to. I'm kind of in the revising phase based on I know you know from having seen the show that we did some talkbacks and I got some feedback that I want to implement into the script and kind of come up with my I guess now 5th version of a final draft of the play. Add some things, change a couple of bits of dialogue here and there, and then once I'm with that finished, I'm going to publish and start submitting it out to different programs.
Okay. Now, since this was originally a monologue, where did you come up with the idea of having them speak to a psychiatrist?
Honestly, through my own experiences in therapy, around the same time of finishing Letters to Michael, I started going to therapy myself, and it's something that I think a lot more Black men need therapy.
A lot more Black people need therapy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's one of those things it's stigmatized in a way that I think people feel like you have to be kind of like on the brink or on the verge of something catastrophic in order to need need a little bit of check-in or to need somebody to talk to. And the reality is that we don't want, Black people needing to be in crisis in order to get help.
Exactly.
Right.
It's super important. My mom is actually a clinician, and so that's kind of where the importance of
and so you don't have the stigma and you understand, and sometimes therapists are just there to compartmentalize the things that you're going and dealing with through in your life, and that's really all it is. Now if you do have some trauma that you need to work through, they're definitely there for that, but I am a supporter of that, and I think it's very important with all the roles that we play today. It's a lot that we have on our plate, and I think it's important to talk to someone to be able to manage that. So kudos to you for that.
Absolutely, because I've gone to therapy, but it was really just to get stuff off my chest that I couldn't get off with my peers or even my spouse. But I had to talk to somebody before I killed somebody.
And not even
I'm
that.
down with the definite therapy. I'm definitely down with that.
And someone who totally isn't connected to what you're dealing with. You know what I mean? Like, all those things.
And I think for me, it was the idea, and that was sort of an idea that was emphasized in the play, that that therapy, it really is, and it can be for everyone. I think a lot of what my hesitancy was toward it at first was like, for the most part, I've had a pretty good life, and that's not to say that I haven't had my own fair share of struggles and things of that nature. But my parents were really big on. I really kind of was one of those kids that wanted for not, and so like kind of like dealing with the structures of like, okay, like everything is theoretically pretty okay for me, and so when I still have these moments where I'm not as good, it was kind of that mentality of like, I don't really need therapy as much as somebody else. So maybe I won't, take away. I don't want to waste anyone's time, kind of thing. And it wasn't really until I kind of was on the brink of a bit of a crisis of my own that I was kind of like, okay, part of that, proactiveness of just going to therapy
absolutely
stopped me from getting to the place of even being in a crisis. So, yeah.
Okay. Now I got my next question is this: how did your peers receive the show?
I think for me, the best compliment that I got from someone in my that wasn't even one of my like close personal friends. It's somebody that I knew. We had like one class together freshman year, and he happened to come see the show, and he said, I never knew how much help I needed until I saw your show." And
Wow. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was super like kind of an out of body experience. I was almost like I had one of those like very delayed reactions to it because I think it was just like, whoa, like what? And I remember I was just like, I shook his hand and I was just like, thank you. Because to me, it's like, yes, this derives a lot from personal experience, things of that nature. But I'm like, at the end of the day, these are made up people in my brain doing, made up things on stage. And somehow that was able to change somebody and make them want to seek out help for the things that they were going through. And that was super needed. There were a lot of moments that I was sitting in the back of the house while the show was happening, and I would hear sniffles or somebody to step out or things of that nature. That kind of impact is not something that I imagined, something that I created being able to do. And so, well received by people of my age, especially because the story is about 2 college students, and so it was very integral, I think, to our demographic. But again, even parents, and I remember one of my cast members, her grandmother came, and like that was like a thing, like where it was like people were of all ages were like touched by the story and the sentiment.
Exactly. Good for you.
Yeah. Because the subject matter, and I know I touched with this briefly when I spoke to you after the play. It touches on so many different aspects of humanity. So that's what was really surprising to me. The level of humanity that was written into each character, into each character, so that it was so balanced. But at the same time, it was like, what else you got? What else are they going through? What else are getting ready to happen?
Man, I'm so sad. I haven't got to see it yet.
And I'm gonna tell you, I'm critical. I'm very, very critical when I'm at plays and shows, and even when I'm watching movies. I was blown away by how the subject matters were layered. That's why I was like, where did you get this from? If it's just from personal experience, you ain't led no normal, comfortable, cushy life, man.
That's what I was about to say. Eric, get ready.
Ain't no way you got issues.
Look at it. Even his demeanor, he's so calm and chill right now.
Oh my goodness.
There are definitely layers of it, and it's one of those things where I think all writers do this to a certain extent, where
no, they don't
take parts of their experience, and I don't think there's any writer where their work is completely removed from who they are. I think I've had conversations where they're like, "This is completely just made up," and I'm like, "You're a liar." Like, I think every writer puts a little bit of stuff not. And so these characters definitely have gone through some things where like I've never known what it's like to lose a parent. Nathan, one of the integral parts of his storyline is losing his father at a very young age. My dad is still very much alive. I've never known what that's like. But the rift that happened sort of between Nathan and his mother as a result of his father's passing, I've had parent dynamics at certain points in my life. I think every parent and child go through a phase in the teenage years where you're not as close.
Yes.
The child is changing and then the parent is changing as a result.
Absolutely.
Trying to figure out how to adapt to that child. And so that kind of a dynamic is something that I was familiar with. So I just took that and then put it in those embedded circumstances of the show. I think for me, one of the things that was super integral, she's not a character that ever doesn't have a speaking role, but Nathan's mother is referenced a lot. But like I said, the only characters in the play, like in terms of who's named, is Nathan, Michael, and the therapist. And so I talked a lot in the rehearsal process about how Nathan has a lot of like resentments and judgments toward his mother and things of that nature. And I always go in when I have conversations like cast, like about not being judgmental toward these characters, especially characters that don't have the agency to defend themselves. So I'm like, okay, this is what information we have, but in the context of the play, we only have Nathan's perspective. We don't know what the situation is with his mother or how she genuinely feels because we never hear her really speak to that. And so kind of like looking at a story from all different angles, I think there's elements where or parts of me in there, but then there are also parts that I think are just about people and what I have come to understand about people at my very, very young age.
Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you, I wanted to come back and see it again. But I'm gonna tell you the only reason why I did not is because I didn't want to take up a seat for somebody who didn't see it.
Okay.
I'm not serious. I was that Saturday. I was coming back because I came to the first show,
right,
and I was coming back again. I was like, man, I got to see it again to make sure that what I saw got that same impact. But I was like, that's selfish. I never felt selfish about seeing a production in my life, but this time I was like, I gotta let somebody else have a seat.
Wow.
I have to. So mad kudos, mad kudos, man.
And when I seen him post the flyer of his son, it was like, is it okay if we interview them? I mean, that in itself was powerful as well.
And he's phenomenal. He's brilliant. Him, obviously, he and I are personal friends.
That apple ain't fall from that tree.
Apple don't fall too far from the tree, champ.
Yeah, but even from like knowing him freshman year, and because we've been in several productions together, and seeing where he was when we came into Morehouse to now in the production his senior year, both of us have grown tremendously as artists. So it was phenomenal getting to work with him. So kudos to you for
So is this your last year of school? Is this your last year?
Yes, May 21st is the day.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming, but I'm excited.
I know. Look, my shirts, I got my Morehouse shirts. Don't even worry. It's just.
But you ain't wearing it right now.
It's just, I don't know.
It's just gear on. Go put the Spelman gear on.
It's just.
Man.
I told M, I said, my son told me to quote that you can tell him Morehouse man, but you can't tell him much.
That's the one.
But man, Miles, I'm again, bro. I'm impressed by the writing. I wish you nothing but continued success in your endeavors and your journey. And knowing the journey the way I do from different aspects, and being a part of like the August Wilson reading group out of Pittsburgh, and watching to see where it is now to where it's the Pittsburgh Playwright Theater. Anything is possible.
Yeah,
anything is possible. And also having rubbed elbows with some prolific writers. I'm gonna tell you, the last person I saw that was that well written out the box was this man named Marlon Youngblood, and he wrote a play called Comfort Zone that was very August Wilson like. My man, Miles, you will probably just with your writings, not anything along this particular way, but just the way you write, you have a real good chance of driving your own pathway and creating a lane that nobody else is really touched into, and the way it's touched. And when I say I'm very critical, I was blown away, man. Blown away.
Genuinely.
Blown away. Mad kudos, man.
Congratulations.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all taking the time.
Oh, of course.
Thank you for being available, man.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm glad you were able to come on. And what do you do in your spare time? We have a couple minutes left. What else you like to do?
I sing in the Glee Club at Morehouse here, so that takes up quite a bit of time. When I'm not writing or doing something performance based, I'm usually playing video games. I have a Nintendo Switch that I play a lot. That takes up quite a bit of my
allows you to debrief.
Yeah, like I said, I want to go into television. I'm a huge TV fan, so I'm always watching something on Netflix, or I'm in M's room and we're watching something or something like that. I'm always a TV guy when I can be, if I have the free time to do so. I like to keep up with what's going on, whether it's animated or live action, drama, comedy, kind of whatever. So that's kind of how I spend time, and then I listen to music. So that's
cool.
The bulk of my free time.
Cool. Well, I'm glad I got the pleasure to meet you in the beginning, because I know you're headed to something amazing, and I look forward to see it. And hope I get to see where your feet land. Mon, you got anything else for Miles?
No, man, just I know people think that being a Morehouse man means automatic success out in the real world, but there's work that comes with it, brother. And if as you continue to go, you will represent your university or college well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're definitely one of the next ones in line, bro. And I'm not just telling you that. I mean that. You're definitely one of the next ones in line.
I appreciate that.
Kudos,
So,
bro. Spike Lee. Spike Lee.
Thank you so much. I'm trying.
Wow.
Thank
okay.
you.
You heard it here first.
That piece,
that
letter to Michael was deep.
Yeah.
That thing was deep.
Yeah.
So like I tell everybody, hey, beloveds, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And this is your host, Angela D. Stribling. And as I say, take care, stay blessed, and remember, pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week. See ya.
Peace.